More than 2 million people die every year from waterborne diseases. Most of them are children below 5 years of age.
We have millions of people in the United States. Every morning they get up and turn on the tap not knowing that there's rocket fuel in their water supply.
There's really been a concerted effort to mischaracterize the degree of the threat that's facing us.
We have wars going on in the world over oil because of pricing of oil. And if we take the same path with water, that's oil all over again.
The world is running out of fresh water. People will do anything. They'll give anything, their life savings, their house, anything for water.
Without water, we have nothing. Without water, we have no life. We have no culture. We have no society. We have no economy. Without water, the earth wouldn't be what it is.
When you think about our planet, it is one huge living body because of the water that flows through it. And across the land masses, you can have veins of water and arteries of water flowing. This flows into our ocean, which is the heart of our Earth. And it exhales. It evaporates water and puts water back into the hydrologic cycle, which then again goes up to the mountaintops and again comes down in the form of veins and arteries. So our planet is just one huge living body with water constantly circulating through it, and it is the water that gives it life. We too are like the surface of our planet, 70% water and 30% solid. We too have a heart. We have 60,000 miles of veins and arteries. And just like the earth recycles the water, we have a water cycle within us.
The United States does not keep active records of how many people get sick from our water supply every year. There are estimates that from 500,000 to 7 million people get sick per year from drinking the tap water.
One of the problems is that we have lots of bugs in the system. Viruses, pathogens, bacteria. A lot of those things that you think of as stomach viruses or flus, about 40% of those come from your drinking water.
We are not removing things like industrial chemicals, rocket fuel, pesticides, certain pharmaceuticals, drugs that were discharged either by big animal factories or by sewage treatment plants. A lot of people think they don't have to worry about their water supply because they go out and buy bottled water. Well, we have news for them. In fact, a lot of your exposure to many of the chemicals comes from the simple act of showering in them. So some of these more volatile pollutants come in through your skin.
There are over 116,000 human-made chemicals. We have no idea how they interact. We are becoming experiments for these synthetic chemicals. And when the liver takes these chemicals out of our bodies, what happens? They get flushed down the toilet. And then they go into the aquifer. And then they go into our rivers and streams. We take the water from the rivers and streams and we put it into our public water supply systems, and we're drinking it again.
All those pharmaceuticals, all those cosmetics, all the stuff that's in there, you know what? It's changing the chemistry in our bodies, and it's hurting us.
For the last 30 years, since the Green Revolution brought chemical agriculture to India, there are two problems that it has created for water systems. The first problem is the crops are actually highly inefficient in water use. They need lots of water to dissolve the chemicals, and that means 5 to 10 times more water is used to produce the same amount of food.
70% de la consommation mondiale est d'origine agricole, 20% d'origine industrielle, 10% les usagers domestiques. C'est les usages agricoles et industriels qui font qu'on a besoin de plus en plus d'eau pour faire pousser les choses qui ne devraient pas pousser à tel endroit. Et évidemment, pour faire pousser tout ça, il faut aussi des engrais, des produits phytosanitaires, de la chimie. Et évidemment, la chimie avec l'eau et dans les terres, ça ne fait pas bon ménage. Et aujourd'hui, y compris dans des analyses qui sont rendues non publiques, on s'aperçoit que par exemple l'eau de la Seine, mais on s'est rendu compte que dans les 5 dernières années, dans l'eau de Seine, les poissons avaient changé de sexe. Il n'y avait que des femelles, il n'y a plus de mâles. Le problème, c'est qu'on n'a pas de solution, puisqu'il faut toujours boire de l'eau. Hein. Même si vous croyez en Dieu, malheureusement, la pollution, elle est diffuse. Hein.
We mustn't forget that these chemicals were designed for warfare. They are the ultimate weapons of mass destruction. Every one of them came out of the war system. Now they are in our drinking water.
Ça peut paraître exagéré, franchement, ça ne l'est pas. Et tout ça, c'est pas dans 50 ans, dans 100 ans, on est en pleine actualité.
People assume that there's somebody in the government protecting their water supply, and that's often not the case. One of the most extraordinary examples of that is the most common pesticide sprayed in the United States, atrazine.
Atrazine itself is an herbicide, or a weed killer, and it's used on products such as corn. It is the #1 contaminant found in drinking water, and groundwater, and surface water. Initially, we were contracted by Syngenta, the makers of atrazine, and their interest was in trying to understand whether or not, so they said, whether or not atrazine could function as an endocrine disruptor, meaning could it interfere with hormones such as thyroid hormone, testosterone, estrogen. We found that atrazine had a number of effects, but most significantly, atrazine demasculized the exposed male frogs. I would even say chemically castrated. We went on to show that in addition to being demasculized, they were also feminized. So in other words, male amphibians would grow ovaries and even produce eggs. Fish show similar effects. Their sperm counts drop and they start to make egg yolk protein. Does that mean that atrazine is causing a global decline in sperm counts in men? Again, the experimental and the epidemiological data suggest that atrazine may play a very significant role. It's also associated with prostate cancer and some of the factories that produce atrazine, as well as with breast cancer and some studies that look at women whose water is contaminated with atrazine. One big